called to order at 5 p.m. and roll call. Trustee Brooke Malleau. Here. Trustee Laura Guerrero Salgado. Present. Trustee Mike Ager.
Here.
Trustee Anthony Fuentes.
Here.
And Chris Cruz Boone is here. We'll move on to item 2, which is oath of office that will be led by our distinguished superintendent, Mark Luque.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go in order of the agenda. So Dr. Chris Cruz Boone, please come with me. Brooke Malleau will be next, and Mike Ager will be the third. So bear with us. I got 3 chances to do this, so I'm going to do this right. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I state your name.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and
Faithfully
I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which
upon which
I'm about to enter.
I am about to enter again.
Congratulations. Brooke Malleau.
Assembly line.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Rick Malleau,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which
discharge the duties upon which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter.
Congratulations! And Mr. Mike Ager? Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Mike Ager,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will
Support
support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution
and
and allegiance
allegiance to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and
California.
the Constitution of the State of California,
And that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully
that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which
I'm about to enter.
I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
You don't want to do one with them before they leave?
Thank you very much.
All right. Now that we're done with the fun stuff, more fun stuff. Oh, it doesn't say anymore.
Election of officers.
Yep. It is recommended the board elect officers to serve as president, president pro tem, clerk, and clerk pro tem for the Board of Education. Do I have a motion towards that effort? It can't be me.
I'll move.
So you have to actually make a motion.
Okay, I make a
of who
motion.
you think should be the president pro tem, the clerk pro tem, the clerk, and the clerk pro tem.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you and then you can make the motion? So it is suggested a motion is made nominating trustee Anthony Fuentes as president, trustee Laura Guerrero Salgado as president pro tem, trustee Brooke Malley Alts as clerk, and Chris Cruz Boone as clerk pro tem. Do I have that motion?
I move.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, is there any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
We switch after the
After.
session. Okay, I was gonna say, he can do it now.
After.
Is there any public comment on our closed session items?
No public comment.
No public comment? Awesome. So it is recommended that we adjourn to closed session. Do I have a motion?
This is Laura. I move that we move it to closed session.
Thank you, trustee Guerrero Salgado. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second from trustee Fuentes. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are now in closed session.
I would invite.
All right, reconvening to open session at 6:02. Item C2, Board Member Laura Guerrero Salgado has the honor of announcing this month's flag salute student.
We got a full house. Good evening, everyone. I would like to invite Michael Cavazos up to the podium to lead us in this evening's flag salute. Before he starts, I would like to share some kind words his principal, Miss Anna Rivera, shared with me. Michael Cavazos is a third grade honor roll student in Ms. Brasher's classroom. He consistently demonstrates respect toward staff and students in his day-to-day interactions. Michael stays on task, makes safety his priority, and takes responsibility in the classroom as reflected in his excellent grades and his adherence to the expectations set by his teacher. According to his teacher, he is a wonderful student who participates actively and is always engaged in the learning process. His positive attitude and willingness to follow expectations make him a joy to have in a classroom. We are proud of Michael for exemplifying what it means to be a jaguar of excellence in every way. Michael, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please come up.
It's our turn now. Guys, we gotta balance.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it have to be in the middle now?
You guys match.
I would like to invite their parents.
Parents' pictures?
All right. Moving on to item C3, report of closed session. During its recently concluded closed session, the board authorized the purchase of real property located at 1225 Baker Street in the amount of $75,000. The vote was unanimous. The final purchase agreement will be available to the public upon request. During its recently concluded closed session, the board also voted to adopt without modification the written decision of arbitrator Anthony Miller sustaining the dismissal of a permanent classified employee number 2005-0336. The vote was unanimous. Moving on to item C4, Excellence in BCSD Employee Recognition Program.
Good evening. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce to you the recipients of our Excellence of Education for the month of December. We have employees who are being recognized for their impact that they have towards our students and also as they model our district values. We're going to start off with the category of accountability. So please welcome and congratulate Leanne Frosto, activity leader from McKinley Elementary. Moving on to the category of caring, we have Annabelle Rangel. She is a BMA driver at Rayford Johnson Community School. We also have Fatima Bafogi, and she is a teacher at Longfellow Elementary. We also have Valentine Velasco, office assistant at Garza Elementary. And Christina Austin, teacher at Roosevelt Elementary. Next, in our district value of collaboration, please welcome and congratulate Kendra Eklund, academic coach at Thorner Elementary. We also have Hugo Heisler, instructional specialist from our FACE department. And Rocio Ramos, administrative secretary from state and federal programs. Moving on to inequity, please congratulate Rachel Fambro, Chief Technology Officer from CNI. And for integrity, please welcome Nicholas Austin, Behavioral Intervention Specialist from William Penn Elementary. And Eloisa Kelly, School Secretary from William Penn Elementary. And for one of our newest categories for our district excellence in education, it is workplace safety, and that is for Melissa Ramos, campus supervisor at Curran Middle School. Thank you, everyone. So one more round of applause for our recipients while they join our board members for a picture.
Cheers for sure.
Someday. Ethnic studies would get to us when it gets to us with the chairs.
Miss Holman didn't make it. Katie Holman, Stern. I didn't see her. I didn't hear her.
All right, looks like we are moving on to item number C5, recognition of Compton Junior High School for receiving a CSBA Golden Bell Award for their attendance and enhancement and re-engagement program.
Good evening, Board President Fuentes, members of the board, cabinet, and community. Tonight we want to recognize and celebrate a recent accomplishment of one of our junior high schools. So last week? Yeah. Feels like forever ago, but the board and I and staff recently attended the California School Boards Association, which is an annual event for school boards. We have the great fortune to celebrate and recognize Compton Junior High School for achieving a Golden Bell Award. So let me go ahead and introduce the team, and then we will recognize them with the Golden Bell. First, Principal Aaron Estep, please come forward. Round of applause. Congratulations. Are you tired of taking pictures yet and everything? Come on over here, come on over here. Randy Santello. Congratulations, appreciate you. Carla Reese. Carla, congratulations, and thank you again very much. And not with us this evening, another member of the team, Maribel Killian. I'm going to ask Mrs. Estep to come up and just share with the audience a little bit about the Achieving a Golden Bell, and we'll recognize and celebrate the bell in a moment. If you want to come and share a little bit about that.
So we work really hard at Compton Junior High to improve attendance. It was a big problem for Compton Junior High, and we have the most amazing staff of caring people who love kids, and that makes it easy to get kids to come to school. So we worked really hard to have a systematic structure and process to address our attendance and chronic truancy, which includes phone calls, daily home visits, mentoring students, reaching out to parents, getting them support through any possible department we can. And the data showed we recovered over 5,000 attendance school days in just a few years. So it's really successful, but it wouldn't be successful if it weren't for the amazing staff that we have working at Compton Junior High. So we were asked to apply for this award to showcase our work and also be able to show other people what we're doing to improve attendance and ultimately improve outcomes for students. So we wrote it up, we applied, and we were so honored to receive this award last week. Everything's going by fast. And it's just, we're really grateful to be here and be recognized tonight for this award.
So on behalf of the California School Boards Association, our Board of Education, we want to celebrate and congratulate you for your hard work and your Golden Bell recognition. Thank you. More pictures.
always be a Trojan.
I was waiting for that.
I mean, but that has weird connotations now, so.
All right. Moving on to item C6, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on Tuesday, November 12, 2024. It is recommended that the minutes of the regular meeting on Tuesday, November 12, 2024 meeting be approved.
This
Do I
is
have a motion?
Laura. I move that we approve.
This is Chris, I second.
Any discussion? Okay, I call for a vote. Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Okay, moving on to,
He didn't,
Is there any-
Mr. Hager.
oh, and I'm sorry, abstentions.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay,
Next.
all righty. Moving on to item C7, public comments. And we do have some public comments, so let's see. To our visitors, members of the public may request that items be placed on the agenda of any regular board meeting. The items must be directly related to school district business. Items placed on the agenda by the public will be for information and discussion so that the board may be advised of the views of the community. Individuals may address the Board of Education by completing the form provided at the door and submitting it to the administrative assistant prior to the start of the meeting. In order to run an efficient meeting, the board is not able to take questions or comments from the floor. The total time allotted for an individual to speak to an item shall not exceed 3 minutes and shall not exceed 15 minutes on any one subject. In order to ensure that non-English speakers receive the same opportunity to directly address the board, any member of the public who utilizes a translator shall be provided twice the allotted time to address the board. So it looks like our first comment here will be Rick Anthony, City of Bakersfield. Following Rick will be Robin, so just so we're aware. Cool.
Thank you. My name again for the record, Rick Anthony. I'm the Assistant City Manager of the City of Bakersfield, and certainly happy to be here to present in front of the board. Congratulations, Mr. Fuentes, for your new appointment. I am proud to be an alumni of the public school systems here in Bakersfield, including Frank West. That still is in existence, right? Because that was a long time ago. Okay, thank you. And also just very proud that in my formal role here, I was the Director of Rec and Parks, and just want to give some kudos to your Superintendent Luque. He has been just a tremendous person to collaborate with. We got together right away when I first returned home and found that there was some opportunities that our department can work with the board and the schools, and I think we just finished up maybe our second football season and going into basketball season, and I hear that it's been a tremendous success, both in just the students having an opportunity to engage, but also helping to realize some of the social aspects and the importance of working together and understanding one another. So happy to do a lot more of that, and the timing for this meeting is really great because if you all read the paper today, we received a grant from Kaiser Permanente to the tune of about $150,000, which we hope that we will continue to get in the next 4 or 5 years. But what that is going to be able to do is help us expand upon some of the programs that we've already piloted with the BCSD. And that includes wraparound services in terms of being able to teach nutrition and mentoring and life skills to our student athletes. So really excited about that. I'm here today really to talk about the MLK project. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. We've been kind of reaching out for the last 2 or 3 years. It is really a legacy project for the city of Bakersfield, and not just for the community, but for the entire city. Obviously, there is a tremendous amount of funding that we're needing, and we were able to secure grants. We continue to apply for grants in the future years. But what I'm asking today is not, whatever you can do, is it appropriate, whether it be advocacy. There's a tremendous amount of opportunities for you. Once this center is built, there can be dedicated space for some after-school programming, dedicated space for some parenting, mentoring, joint use agreements, continuing to build on our athletic partnerships with our sports leagues. And so I'm asking for your advocacy. As with many things, there's always a political conflict in terms of the amount of money that we're spending. So I'm asking you, whether it be a letter, continued support, and we do have an event coming up on January 24th where I'd love for you all to be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Up next, we have Robin Curelli.
Hi, Robin Curley. Sorry, it's hard to say. Well, it's good to see you guys again. Last time I was up here was back in October. Saw some familiar faces. I look forward to you guys having a wonderful holiday. We got 2 more days of school. I'm excited. I know a lot of people are excited. I'm just bringing up a reminder that when I was here last time in October, I asked, invited, challenged any of you guys on the board to please come visit my school at Thorner and be in my classroom with my mid-severe autistic kids, pre-K to K. I got 13 of them. And nobody came. I was just really sad, made me sad. I know you guys are busy. I know you guys are teaching at other places, work and stuff. I know BC's out, so yo, Chris, so I'm waiting for you. I'm just kidding.
I've come twice. I just got your room.
So I'd just like to have somebody come visit my class and see what it's like to be with the SPED aides. I'm speaking on behalf of all special ed and paraprofessionals. We have a lot that we do. When I was here in October, I gave you a comparison sheet comparing our job duties with the CPALs as well as Gen Ed aides. I was a Gen Ed aide for Thorner back in 2006, and there was no CPALs, so we did yard work and classroom. Well, now you have CPALs, you have Gen Eds, but now you also have the SPED aides, this paraprofessional special education. And we're getting paid the bottom of the boat from compared to the CPALs and the Gen Ed. And there's a lot that we do. So take a look at that comparison sheet that I left you in October. Come visit my class. I would appreciate it. I have had aides that text me and called me later after seeing my speech here. Asked, did anybody come to your school yet? No, not yet. I know you guys are busy, but it's kind of embarrassing when I get to tell another aide from another school, no, not yet. And they look at me like, yeah, they're never going to come. I want to prove that person wrong because you guys are a good team. I admire each and every one of you. So let's prove that aide wrong, turn that negative into a positive. And come hang out with me. My principal, Mr. Haynes, he comes quite often, and the kids love him. They hold his hand, he talks to them, they talk back with him, they have a conversation. So my kids won't kill you, but they might scare you just a little. So just put on your walking shoes, some yoga pants, and get ready for a workout. So please, join me at my school at Thorner. We'd love to have you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, we have Amy Spain.
Good evening. Sorry, I want to look at you, but I also have to pay attention. Good evening, esteemed board members. My name is Amy Spain, and I am a product of Bakersfield City School District, attending Thorner Elementary and then Compton Junior High. I started working for BCSD right out of high school in 2008 as a CPAL at Franklin Elementary. I've worked my way up the ladder within the district to now my current position as an IT trainer and support technician. Last Friday, I was notified in a meeting that due to budget cuts and the district restructuring, the IT trainer and support technician position was going to be eliminated. There are 5 women total in this position, and ourselves as well as our entire information technology department were shocked by this decision because of all the support we provide to our BCSD staff, BCSD parents, and our BCSD students. Our department has network technicians that physically go out and support our school sites, but we are the ones that receive the phone calls. When a substitute teacher needs assistance logging into their computer so they can access lesson plans or take student attendance, it's our phone number that they are instructed to call if they have any difficulty. When a teacher calls in a panic that they have a virus on their computer, we can troubleshoot immediately and allow them to get back to instruction. We also train new clerical employees in ARIES, our student information system, as well as Smarty Tools, the district's finance system. When the district eliminated the student information systems supervisor, the IT trainers inherited all Parent Square questions from school sites. We support parents with their Parent Square accounts as well as their Aries parent portal accounts so they can view their students' grades. We are the ones that help support students when the STAR test or another instructional program that they are accessing is giving them trouble. We are the ones that contact the companies and get the issues resolved so that the student can proceed with their lessons. When there are only 5 positions to support 45 schools and their students and their parents and all the departments, work tickets pile up quickly. I am concerned for the teachers and parents. Who will they call, and will they get a resolution in a timely manner? I know the surplus list will not come across your desks until February board meeting, but I wanted to make you aware of this before you make your final decision. Please consider how this will affect the needs of our staff, parents, and students. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Linda Villalpando.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, board members. My name is Linda Villalpando, and I hold one of the 5 IT support tech positions in IT. I was also notified yesterday that our positions are being eliminated as of June 30th due to budget cuts. While I understand that financial constraints require difficult decisions, I believe it's crucial to consider the cost of losing these positions versus the value they provide. Today, I just want to emphasize a vital role that this team plays as a first line of defense in supporting our schools' technology needs. In a district this size, immediate support is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Let me give you some examples of the types of calls we receive every day and we support every day. A student has been locked out of their Chromebook and cannot follow along with the lesson plan. A teacher cannot log into their computer or Google in order to begin instruction. A student cannot access Clever in order to complete a district-required assessment. A teacher cannot enter grades in Aries in order for the parents to see updated information on their parent portal. A secretary is requesting a custom attendance report in order to send letters home to parents. A clerk needs help clearing their edit reports in order to maintain accurate student records. A teacher tutor cannot access Clever applications in order to monitor student progress. A parent cannot log into Parent Square to message their student's teacher immediately. A parent cannot access the Aries portal in order to see their student's grade, attendance, or schedules. A secretary is having issues with Smarty tools and cannot access or enter payroll. An activity leader forgot their password and cannot start a lesson during extended learning time. A student teacher cannot co-teach because they don't have their login information. What would happen if these issues were not resolved quickly? The cost of eliminating these positions will result in increased downtime, higher reliance on senior level technicians, and ultimately a disruption of student learning and teacher productivity. So board members, I urge you to look into this detrimental decision and find a way to fund these positions. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jennifer Wright, and I'm an employee with the district, having served in information technology for the past 20 years, with a total of 25 years of service. Service, which is an interesting term and label that the district chooses to assign to us. So if this is about numbers and budget, let me explain how the 5 women who have been selected to be eliminated from our positions have provided a service to the students and staff of BCSD. The numbers are only reflecting the 5 that I will refer to as the IT support staff. In 2023, we completed 5,742 service tickets. In 2024, we are on track to exceed that number and have completed 3,320 tickets. since August. We will no longer be here to answer those service tickets. We work all day, every day, to respond in a timely manner. You're removing an entire team who absorbs these requests at the first line of assistance. Our phone number is published on the website, on district documentation provided to parents and students, readily available to all staff, no matter what the position, and is known as the help desk, yet another service we provide. Referring to the IT support staff, we have received by month the following number of phone calls. In September, 3,033. October, 3,891. November, 2,371. The current number for December is 1,263. But August is different. We aren't allowed to take vacation because we provide an integral service for getting the school and staff ready for the students' return. So in the month of August, let's imagine that we triple the amount of calls that was the highest. And let's say we get 12,000 calls in 1 month. Can you think about that for 1 second? 12,000 calls to 5 people in 1 month? That's not what we get in August. We get 20,797 calls in August. That's what we do. So if you believe that these numbers don't substantiate retaining the job of the 5 of us, then please remember that we explain this service that we provide to the district, and you chose to remove us. Thank you, IT team, for being here with us.
C8, presentation to Dr. Chris Cruz Boone for service as President of the Board of Education.
You guys are so nice.
Good evening again, Board President Fuentes, members of the board, cabinet, and community. I'd like to take this opportunity to celebrate and recognize the achievement of Dr. Chris Cruz Boone, serving as the BCSD President of the Board of Education for the calendar year 2024. Let's give a big round of applause. Yes, yes. Plaque and more pictures.
But I got a hammer. I know, you made it sure it was super real that, huh? Stop bringing things. I like to hit the little thing. It's my favorite. That's the best part.
Congratulations, congratulations.
That's so cool. Thank you, IT people, for coming. I know you just came to see me. Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to letter D, reports of district organizations. Number 1, Bakersfield Elementary Teachers Association, Beta, Steve Consva, President.
They locked him out.
See him here. Item.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So.
You missed me getting an award. You missed it.
We were sitting right
No,
in
not
there.
you, Kayla, my husband. I could hear you from the other room. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Steve.
No, that's okay. We heard the whole thing. We were applauding and everything. I'm pretty sure I saw Rona and Aaron. They were just sitting there scowling. It was awful. Kidding, Rona. Hi, my name is Steve Comstock. I'm the president of the Bakersfield Elementary Teachers Association. I don't have a lot that I want to share tonight. There is a lot of congratulations. I want to say thank you and congratulations to Dr. Cruz Boone for being an amazing president. Congratulations to Mr. Fuentes for being the new president. And congratulations to Mr. Neggert for joining us on the school board. I'm excited to see how this goes. I want to let you know that I did a poll, which I'm known to do, and I sent it out. We've got over 1,200 different responses from teachers. And all I did was ask them, I would like to know what you're thankful for in our district, what you appreciate, and what you would like to see changed. I'm going to bring you some results from that in January because I'd like you to see, but just a few of the things that they were thankful for. The people of our district are very thankful for the student population we have. I can tell you that we had over 100 people say specifically their principals and their site administrative staffs. We had a lot of people talk about they're really excited to work for a district that offers the kind of professional development that this one does, because not many offer the breadth of development that this school district does offer. So there's a lot of things that our district does and offers that our members very much like. And I would say that it was pretty evenly split. Everybody who put something down that they were worried about, they had one or two things that they really loved about our school district. So the people that are here want to be here. I would say I am concerned hearing about the people that are being laid off because we haven't received budget proposals from the governor yet for next year. So it's kind of odd that we're already cutting budgets before we've actually even received the governor's projected budget that doesn't even get finalized until the May revise and then adopted in June. So I know we gotta be forward looking, but it seems like maybe something more than that's going on. But I want to say thank you everybody for a great first half of the year, because in 3 days, first half of the year's gone. So thank you very much, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys all get a chance to take a break.
CSEA, Chapter 48, Dinah Mae Jimenez, President.
Okay. Well, good evening, Board of Trustees, District Administration, and fellow colleagues. Congratulations, Mr. Fuentes and Brooke Mallialt and Dr. Chris Cruz Boone, Mike Eggert, for a new term. I would like to start by welcoming the newest member of the Board of Trustees, Mike Eggert. CACA is looking forward to working together regarding many issues throughout the district. You have stood beside us in the past, the present, and as we look into the future. CAC would like to thank the district for our bi-monthly labor management meetings. This has allowed us to cover many issues throughout the district in a timely manner. In addition, these meetings allow us to debrief and share any issues that we may have come into play. For example, we are notified by our members that the IT trainer positions will be eliminated at the end of this fiscal year. The labor rep, Ian Mason, our labor rep, Ian Mason, and I were able to ask a plethora of questions to HR at our meeting yesterday. It appears that this elimination of positions comes at the most opportune time for the district, considering that the district must comply with Senate Bill 88, new driver positions for the categories of behavior intervention specialist, driver, youth services specialist, driver, and associate school social worker, driver. It's still not understood why these drivers must be tied to a position that is already paid extremely well and struggles to find time to do their current job, let alone add driver to their title. We do hope that in the future, CCA will be notified prior to our membership regarding situations like this so we can address these properly and not be blindsided. Sadly, CCA members have been feeling management is leading by intimidation. Administration models a type of management skill that is similar to divide and conquer. Our superintendent, Mark Lukey, has continually stress collaboration and to work as a team district-wide. Yet this is not the type of leadership that is being shown. There have been instances of bullying amongst our leaders as well. One example of many is how the nutrition staff at Cato Fletcher are being mistreated by their cafeteria manager, Katrina James. This has been brought to the administration's attention multiple times, but it appears she is untouchable, considering that she is the sister of Bobby Griffith, Assistant Director of Nutrition Services. Could this be considered a conflict of interest? Family members working under the same department? Another example includes Garza principal, Julie Segura Padilla. She tends to use Mark Lukey's name to achieve her requests, as if they are good friends. Their circumstance is used to do as she asks because of who she knows. On another note, to this date, it appears no one has been willing to step into the shoes of our Aid 2 positions or our nutrition assistants, just for one day. How will you know what a position truly consists of or what type of bullying is being done if you don't go to the source? Bottom line, we are all expected to model personal and professional values of equity, integrity, caring, and collaboration, along with personal and collective accountability. Therefore, I ask you, why management is not expected to uphold these same statements of value? The classified employees of this district are drawing weary and are begging for equality and fairness. How many more good employees need to leave or not be given the same equal opportunity to advance, causing resignation? It is no secret there is a lack of retainment within the district. This is much bigger than the recruitment issue that is continually addressed over and above retainment. Since when does seniority not matter? These and many other issues are questions that many want answers to. Thank you.
Moving on to item D3, Laborers International Union of North America, LIUNA, Local 777, Bob Boyd, President. Looks like he's not here. Moving on to letter E, Board of Education. So E1 is board member comments. We have our order here. This evening we will be starting with board member Brooke Malleol.
Good evening. Thank you to our public speakers as well as the union representatives. First, I would like to congratulate our newest board member, Mr. Mike Egger. I look forward to working with him as he brings fresh insights in the coming years. As a board composed primarily of parents and educators, I welcome Mr. Eggert's perspective as a former classified employee of the district and grandparents of BCSD students. Okay. Earlier this evening, Dr. Chris Cruz-Boone and I took our oath of office in addition to Mr. Eggert. Over the next 4 years, I want to make a public commitment to protect the fiscal solvency of the district, increase transparency, and ensure that business is conducted in the district is done so in an ethical manner. While I am a BCSD parent and proud East Bakersfield educator, I am first and foremost a representative of my constituency and am available to hear and understand public concerns from all stakeholders. Please reach out to me if something is on your mind. I learned how to better serve the public when those that I represent let me know their concerns. I do want to also acknowledge the California School Board Association conference we attended earlier this month. It was a great source of inspiration as we move into 2025, tackle new challenges, and find new ways to support our students. Lastly, during our holiday break, I want to ask that adults help children exercise pedestrian and bicycle safety to ensure that those out and about on the road are highly visible. We want everyone back in January rested, safe, and ready to learn. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our second board member comment, Mike Eggert.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been a long travel, and I want to thank the people that voted for me and all the help that we went door to door and knocked on over 3,500 doors in our campaign. And I heard from a lot of constituents, a lot of parents, and a lot say very positive things about our district and things that they love. But then they also are concerned, you know, about their children and the future for our district. I need to especially thank CSEA for their help with getting me elected, and I thank Dinah for her comments tonight. You know, I think they're, I understand them completely. Thank you. Another thing I want to bring up is I wasn't attended last meeting that dealt with the presentation regarding the summer camp. And I just want to bring up some concerns I have with that. And looking at the report that was given in August for last year's. And it seems like there's something missing there. It's the attendance is always down. I mean, for the amount of money that we're spending. And it just seems like, you know, I had been with the district for 24 years and used to see a lot of students come to summer school. I mean, yeah, we call it summer camp. You know, just call it summer school. Let's be honest. It's school. You know, forget the flashy name. But, you know, back then the kids had experiences. You know, they look forward to it. And like, what would be wrong with taking the kids fishing at Hart Park? You know, many of these children have never even been to Hart Park, would have no experience with fishing. But that's just one example. And I think that's where we're lacking, is we're not showing these children experiences that they can look forward to. I take back when I was a custodian at Longfellow, and I was asked to go on a mission trip to Santa Barbara as a chaperone. I go, oh, sure, why not? And each child was given 2 Ziploc bags. And they were told, number one, you can't put water in it. You know, and those kids, the minute they saw the ocean, and this was in the early 90s, you know, they had never seen the ocean before. They were just overwhelmed. And then when they went down, after we went to the mission, and they were picking flower petals and just little treasures in their little bags, a lot of the kids put sand from the ocean in their bags. And they were just thrilled to death because they had those experiences. And I think that's where there's no incentive. It's like, let's show children the experiences, because, you know, their parents are working many hours, you know, especially during the summer, and they're just not given the opportunity that many people take for granted. And I just think that's where, you know, we give the bikes and we give all the little things away and to keep the kids there, and it doesn't show that that's working. They're still not there. And I think that we really need to focus on getting those students there and providing them with some experiences where they can have memories. I mean, the amount of kids that went to the Fresno Zoo in September, those kids had never, I mean, it's just so neat to see this. And things aren't that far away. You know, going fishing at Hart Park isn't that far away. You know, so I think that we need to work on getting those children experiences so they look outside the box than the, you know, their TVs and their computers. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you and also the staff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Moving on to Trustee Laura Guerrero Salgado.
Well, we had, when I say we, because I'm part of the Ed Foundation, I'm one of the directors on there, we had the teddy bear picnic, and we did pretty well. We don't have any numbers until the next board meeting, and I believe they'll be coming in to give a presentation, right, Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
But again, for those teachers that are out there that are looking for that grant, the money's there. There's enough money in there for extra stuff. Ms. Bauer, when she comes in next month, she'll give you guys more details. But it was nice to see those baskets get raffled off and the winners and the excitement there, and to have all these businesses out there that support the district and our teachers more than anything. It was nice to attend.
Don't forget the Camp Keep scholarship.
Oh, yeah, the Camp Keep part. The Ed Foundation gave $800 towards Camp Keep to any of the schools that were participating in Camp Keep. So that, first time ever. And how many years has that foundation been around?
Well, I want to say the foundation's been around 29 years because we were closed down during COVID.
Right.
And this was our 27th. And it started out strictly for Camp Keep, to support Camp Keep, but then it got morphed into teacher grants only. But we're now making enough money that we can give each of the 16 schools that participate in Camp Keep this year full ride scholarships equivalent for 2 students, which some of them are, we just approved one where they put that 800 among 4 students that needed just
So
those
4
girls
kids
to
were
be
able to go.
So, I know I probably should be up there or someplace, but anyway. I
No,
think
but
it's
that's very
wonderful.
important because it was 4 kids that would not have been able to go.
Exactly.
And every child does matter. Every child deserves that opportunity. Thank you, Ms. Bauer.
Thank you.
You know, earlier we had one of our schools up here for the Golden Bell. And during one of our evening engagements, we have Alma Castro. She's a board member for Linwood. And she said, hey, I seen you guys got a recognition. How did you guys do it? And I said, good question. You should get in contact with the district to see how we can share that information, that program with you guys. And she was pretty much sharing that they're going through the same struggles, but we have the answers, right? Part of the answers, maybe part of the solution. So it's good to know that the district is doing something good, that we have staff at our school sites that are coming up with solutions. What works at one school might not work at another one, but it worked for that school in particular. Also, while at CSBA, I attended the Ethnics Assembly state required training, and that one was pretty interesting. You never stop learning. You know, as a board member, as a parent, as a member of the community, you just never stop learning. And I would encourage everybody else to go through with this training. This month is tough for a lot of our kids. And I notice there's always all these toy drives. But as I'm dropping off one of my kids, I always see the same kids without a sweater. I know there's not much the district can do money-wise, spending certain funds on, you know, the funds are allocated or they're meant to be spent for specific items. But I did express to Mr. Luque that there's businesses out there that are willing to work with the district to figure out who are those kids in need, and they're willing to help. So I'm hoping that if you know of a business out there that's willing to help, you just send them our way. And I'll just keep my comments short. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Next up is me. So first of all, wanted to welcome Mike to the board, brand new. Glad to see you here. Our school district has a lot of really, really important history, and I saw that last week when I met even more people at the California School Boards Association conference. I was there for too long. I was there a couple of days ahead of time so that I could get some training to become the board president. So really looking forward to serving our district in this capacity, especially considering how well known we are out there. At that conference, I met several people who have gone to breakout sessions where our district was featured long before I was ever even a trustee. So we've got a lot of work to do here. Despite all the change, I know this is a great district, and we're going to keep going in the right direction. I'll keep my comments to just that for now, and CCB, you're up.
I'm sorry, there's so much I want to say, so please indulge me. Thank you guys for the plaque. It's really beautiful, and it's really special, and I will treasure it. I really will. And welcome to Mr. Eger. My husband was like, well, what do you think of him? And I was like, he's Santa. And my husband laughed, and I was like, no, I'm serious. He's like the nicest man you've ever met. That's not insulting, right?
No,
Okay,
not at all.
okay,
Not
okay.
at all.
But like, he was like, how would you describe him? And I was like, that's how he's awesome.
It comes off after Christmas, so.
No. Oh, okay, so. But also, there's just a spirit about you that is kind and joyful.
Oh, thank you.
And,
Thank
and
you.
I just, like, my husband was like, do you want to expand on that? I was like, no. Like, that's my stance on Mr. Eger at this point.
Thank you. This point.
At this, we'll see, sir.
Okay,
No, I'm just
sorry.
kidding.
It's
I'm
your-
totally
it's your
kidding.
moment.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
know. You're totally fine. So I got to spend a great time with Principal Aaron Eastup from Compton, both on a site visit and at CSBA. And I just think we can't understate, like, there's some really wonderful staff there, extraordinary staff and teachers, from the front office to the math classrooms. They're doing cool stuff. But Erin really had a vision for attendance and said, how could I work with the people that I have to make that come forward for the families? And she really had a vision that tapped in all of the strengths that she had in that staff and allowed people to step into their best light to do the best work for kids. And that's why, I mean, kids want to go to school. Middle school kids want to go to school. And you're right, at CSB, everyone was like, how did you do that? And we put a really great principal like Erin at that school site. And that is something, I was really proud to say, like, oh, I was on the board when she went to that school site. I got to vote to appoint that principal. That it's really exciting to get to say something like that and see the leadership come full circle and have a success like we saw at Golden Bell. I love music. Like, I love it. I am obnoxiously trying to go to as many schools as I possibly can. I mean, I've been to Franklin and Thorner and Kern and like Stern and I mean, just everywhere. And it's been wonderful and different every place that I've gone. But again, there is this sense of pride I'm gonna share here. I didn't, say there. Seeing the kids in new uniforms, seeing all of the shiny new instruments, seeing the new music teachers interact with the kids. I love to go in the morning when you get to see all the kids sitting on the floor in complete rapture of the older kids performing. And so it is something that nobody quite does like BCSD, and we've won 25 years in awards for it or whatever. But at Christmas time, like, it's an especially special thing that we're doing, and our staff and Mike Stone's leadership, they're just doing a great job. Thank you to the staff, the IT staff, our union organizations that came tonight. We don't know what we don't know, and so hearing your words really do strike very deeply for us. I don't always love public comments where I learn so many things, but I take it down, I go home, I revisit it, I really think about it, and I always appreciate it whatever you bring things to our board, so thank you for that. I also wanted to thank Rick Anthony. I was at a recent city council meeting where they were, talking about city planning, and I pointed out, like, thank you, before I made my comments, for Rick Anthony and all of his partnership with BCSD, with our superintendent, for all the great work he's been doing around the MLK community. I think it's a really beautiful vision for that area, and I'm so excited about the work and the leadership our superintendent has shown there in combination with the county. Okay, 2 more things, I promise I'm almost done. I know we have a voting item, we're gonna talk about it a lot, but I wanna talk about safe routes to school just for a second. And I wanted to start by saying, like, you see what we vote on, but sometimes you're not in all the meetings where these things happen. And our superintendent has really been like duplicating himself and being everywhere on this issue. It's not something that we're hiding from. It's not something that we're not taking seriously. And I love when I get messages or when I run into people and they're like, I saw this guy with glasses in a suit. Who was that? I'm like, that was the I know, that's the beard. That's how I know, is the beard. But he had a BSC, the lanyard is what gives you away. But they'll say, I saw this guy, who was it? I'm like, that was our superintendent. They're like, the superintendent was there. And so this morning, someone from Roosevelt messaged me and said, I think this is the superintendent. Oh, he's talking, it is the superintendent. And it really means a lot to the community that it's not just lip service, he actually shows up or sends a designee. We're doing everything we can as a board. Mark is doing everything he can as superintendent. I want to shift the conversation a little bit and echo what Brooke said. It's foggy outside. If you go, okay, I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. I've never been in a bad accident or anything, but I'm not a great driver. I'm not, everyone who knows me well knows that. So I don't like to drive in the dark. I pulled out of my house to go to a concert and it was so foggy and the fog was so dense. I pulled back in and said, no thank you. I'm not doing that right now. Because to me it didn't feel safe, and I wish more adults were being that honest with themselves. It would be better for you to miss that concert or that party or that drink with friends. If it's too foggy, if it's dark, if you can't find your readers, don't drive the car. If you drive a lifted car and you don't have good visibility, don't speed around a school zone. And it's not just by our schools. We have lots of bus stops. Some of the kids have after-school activities. My own son walks home in the dark, and it scares me so much right now because our drivers weren't aware. There's a lot of education, a lot of work, a lot of things happening at the district level and from the voice of our superintendent as a local community leader. But there's also, we need some accountability and responsibility and to be really pushing each other to not drive when it's not safe, to not speed when there's kids around, to be more thoughtful if we choose to drive a lifted vehicle. So, please do that. The last thing, okay, I promise the last one. I know, I had a lot. So the last morning of CSBA was very memorable, in part because the sessions had an exercise convention happening at the same time. So they were playing rap music and I was texting everyone else. I'm like, is everyone hearing this music in their session? But my session was about the neurology of early literacy. It was a very serious session. It was neuroscientists were up there, and then it was let me shake that booty, and the wall's vibrating. It was very interesting. But I do have a point. So, I will never forget that session. All of us just kept looking at each other. But the session was really fascinating, and I kept thinking, I wonder if we're doing this here. I wonder if I would need to remember to ask my superintendent, do we do this? And then on Friday, he and I took a tour of Rayford Johnson. And we went into one of the classrooms, and the kids were playing a sight word board game designed by one of our instructors. And everything they talked about in the early literacy neuroscience session that I went to was happening in front of me with some of our most challenging students who were all different ages and different reading levels. That was so cool as a board member because there's no way, nobody knew that I went to that session and what it was about and could have said oh yeah, I think we do that in some of our rooms, but for me, get to see it so quickly in action in our own schools as a thought process. And that's the magic that happens in our schools. We talk about it being a tough time, we talk about attendance being tough, but let's not forget there's still magic happening, and there's a reason why we have that reputation, because we really do. Our teachers and our staff, They create magic not just for the holidays, but for every week in this district, and I'm so grateful for you. I always feel like I've seen everything, and then I see 10 more things that make me go, what? We do that? So thank you so much to all of you. I just am filled with immense gratitude tonight, as you can see from my whole list of things. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Thank you. That'll do it for our board member comments. Moving on to item E, number 2, Superintendent's report. Mark Lupie, Superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your attendance tonight. Before I start on the slides, I just want to make a couple of comments. First, another round of applause and welcome to Mr. Mike Eggert as our newest elected board member.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations also to Brooke Mallialt and Dr. Chris Cruz Boone for earning the confidence and trust of your constituents and running unopposed for 4 more years. So congratulations, round of applause. For both. This is, these jobs aren't easy. There isn't an easy job in education. And it takes a lot to commit to the responsibilities of all the work that we do in education, from board members to superintendents, along the line with staff. And so thank you so much for your willingness to serve. Also to our public speakers, a lot of valuable insight was offered tonight. We have a lot of conversations to have. I commit to working with our associations to have those conversations, dialogue, build an understanding of where we are, and recognizing that as the budget of the state of California is adopted and approved, our budget has to be approved before the state's budget is approved. And so we will wait for January's release of the governor's proposal, but unfortunately, employment law requirements do not pause or wait, as we have to handle notifications. Much more conversation on that going forward. Tonight I want to focus on a few topics and highlight some of the work that our schools are doing. So next slide, please. So tonight I want to address and talk about school highlights. Recent data is released from the state of California. We have schools that are doing well, not just over the course of last year, the previous year, but over 3 years. And so I want to highlight the progress. I do want to review, for anyone watching, our fog delay procedures. The news is stating that tomorrow morning is supposed to be a dense fog morning. And so I know there's been some questions with that, especially over a little bit over a week ago. We had a very foggy morning. We are now in LCAP season, so our LCAP launch and educational partner feedback actually has already started with our surveys being released out to the public. I want to revisit our district goals and priorities, talk briefly about the portrait of our graduates, and conclude with some valuable information for our board and for our community on our California School Dashboard outcomes. Next slide, please. So as always, starting with our values, vision, and mission, our values of equity, integrity, caring, collaboration, and personal and collective accountability. Our vision to be the model of educational excellence, equity, inclusion, and innovation. And our mission is to educate all students at the highest levels of academic excellence to become collaborative, creative, and critical thinkers. And our work should always bring us back to these topics. Next slide. So school highlights. We should all celebrate the following schools for their continued success. Next slide. I want to call out Pauley Elementary first. Over the last 3 years since the pandemic and the return to the traditional annual state assessments, and I'll pause and remind the community that our students are not simple data points, but again, we are measured by the state's dashboard for intervention and assistance, and so progress is necessary and needed. Pauley over the last 3 years has seen a 25.8 point growth in English language arts and a 38.2 point growth in mathematics, which is some of the strongest in the district. And so congratulations to Principal Ramona Ross and her entire staff for that progress and growth. Followed up by Cato, seeing a 24.4 point growth in ELA and a 31.5 point growth in mathematics. Cato is now sitting just below the distance from standard metric of 0 at 1.7, and so great things are happening at Cato. Owens Elementary, I want to highlight and pinpoint that progress, although it doesn't always come consistently across all subject areas, but Owens has seen 28.8 points of improvement in English language arts over the last 3 years. with math being a little bit of a incremental improvement over year, significant improvement, but over the last 3 years, it's actually about a net negative 3.3, but great things are happening there as well under the leadership of Mr. Lauren Anthony. So kudos to the staff there too. At Compton, is another junior high, experiencing 14.3 points of growth in language arts and 15 points of growth in mathematics. So kudos again to Principal Estep. Pioneer Elementary experiencing 19.4 points of growth in ELA and 13.9 points in mathematics. Kudos to Principal Tracy Hicks and her staff there. And Roosevelt seeing 12.8 points of growth in language arts and 4.5 points of growth in mathematics. The goal for the state of California is more than 3 points of growth consistently across both academic subject areas. This is an average of all students distance from standard, and so the schools there are seeing greater progress than the expected 3 points of growth. So kudos to those schools. Going forward, fog delay procedures. Next slide, please. Just as a reminder to the community, our fog delays are called prior to 6 a.m. by our transportation department when visibility is 200 feet or less. We cover a vast geographic area of the community, and so fog does not come the same way in the same places, and so we do our best to measure and monitor fog delays. In the event a fog delay is called by the district, school will begin as normally scheduled. Our fog delays are only assigned to school bus. However, parents have the ability to delay transport to school if conditions are in danger, and so students will not be marked tardy for that. Fog delays are reported to the Kern County Superintendent of Schools and placed on their alert line at alertline.kern.org. And again, we encourage all families to monitor local radio stations or the morning television news for up-to-date information on fog delays. But fog delays will always be called by 6 a.m. because our bus routes leave at that time. Next slide. LCAP season. So our parent guardian survey is now out. We encourage everyone to fill that survey out and give us honest feedback to strengthen the educational programs and services for our students. Next slide. The board in your packet has a calendar of our scheduled events. It's kind of in between your packet, but it's there loose leaf, so please receive that and know that we are engaging with all of our educational partners as we go forward to craft our plan, any adjustments for year 2 of our 3-year LCAP. And as we revisit the LCAP organizational sequence, next slide, I want to revisit our board priorities, our BCSD, staff priorities, building a coherent vision across the district, creating a culture of shared leadership, accountability, and responsibility, all decisions grounded in data-informed decision-making, a change in the structure of professional development, shifting away from one-time sit-and-get learning, embracing the important role of our family and community engagement efforts, and ensuring fiscal responsibility. Next slide. Academic priorities, all students read, write, speak, listen, and be mathematically proficient by grade 3. All EL students entering into BCSD in kindergarten are reclassified by grade 5. All students must regularly engage with authentic learning and assessment beginning in grade TK. And all students enter into a safe, welcoming, inclusive, and respectful classroom environment. So as we go forward and we work to evaluate our LCAP actions and seek feedback from our partners, we continue to focus on the next slide, which is our, go ahead and click on it, please. Again, and one more time. One more time. Improving the quality of Tier 1 instruction, ensuring our kids have access to grade level standards-based instruction, recognizing that our students may be below grade level, but ensuring that scaffolds are offered to support students in making those grade level connections, because our students only get one chance to complete the grade level they're in. In addition to our Tier 1 instruction, continuing to strengthen our interventions and supports, and I'm proud that the board continues to invest in interventions across our school sites, both academically with our intervention specialists, our literacy specialists, what we call liquor sets, as well as our behavior intervention specialists, our youth services specialists, and our social workers. And most importantly, relationships, culture, and climate, because without relationships, we can't build trust, and without trust, we can't strengthen the work of our district. Next slide, please. All of this leads to the important work of our district with the Portrait of a Graduate, trying to redefine the focus and energy and effort of our system as we prepare kids for the future that is ahead of them, not the future that we walked into. And I continue to share this description definition of the new purpose of schooling needs to be fostering agency, collaboration, and real-world problem solving to ensure students can think critically and creatively, collaborate effectively with others, apply skills and knowledge to solving real problems, and find meaningful ways to contribute to the world. I want to thank every member of our Portrait of a Graduate subcommittee who has spent tireless time in crafting language to develop indicators of what our competencies can look like by grade span. TK and K, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and then 7 and 8. I look forward to being able to share that work with the board as well as all of our parents' committees as we turn to the new year and continue to build our plan going forward to leverage those indicator descriptions to build professional development and support resources for our classroom teachers as we truly are trying to prepare kids to be high school ready for the college or career pathway, their choice as they develop the skills and agency to own the future of their development going forward. Next slide. And I want to conclude with the important reminder that BCSD, because of our recent dashboard outcomes and because of outcomes over 3 of the last 4 years, is going to fall into the next tier, the highest tier of intensive support from the state of California and the county office due to our results with African American students, their academic outcomes in language arts and mathematics, and our suspension rates, our foster youth because of their academic outcomes in ELA and mathematics and their chronic absenteeism rate. And we must watch our students with disabilities and the newly identified student group, the long-term English learners, because their outcomes too, if not improved, will land us into the intensive support from the state of California. And with that, I want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, and I'll conclude my message, go forward one more, with a reminder and a call to support the unity of purpose for the Bakersfield City School District, where the child comes first. That we should always strive to be the model of educational excellence, equity, inclusion, and innovation, and that we should strive to educate all students at the highest levels of academic excellence, to become collaborative, creative, and critical thinkers. Our students need us, and I just compel all of us to pull the rope in the same direction as we continue to work for our community. And again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Get some rest, disconnect from your technology, from your email, from your cell phones. Enjoy your family, your friends, your loved ones. Enjoy the holiday season. Thank you.
I have a quick question on your report, Mr. Luque.
Yes.
For the fog delay, is that on the BCSD website? I had a couple parents reach out when all that fog, they went out to the BCSD website. There was just like a quick link with the reference with what you just explained on there.
We can add that on there. It's not on the website, but we can put that on there. We did send out a Parent Square notification.
Right.
And we'll continue to do that as well as reminders. The best way to identify a fog delay is by checking your local news stations and or radio station in the morning.
Right. Thank you.
Is there a reason they have to be 2 hours?
Ms.
It's
Glenn?
not a legal reason, it's just making sure the fog can clear up earlier than that, but it's a safe time frame that allows the fog to pass and clear before our buses have to get on the road.
It just feels like an arbitrary number. I know, no, I wasn't sure if it was like the state made us do that or it's like a logistical thing.
No, because you'll see that, or you'll hear if you tune in on the radio, some districts, like if it's Rio Bravo Greeley, they'll call 3-hour delays because the fog is just denser and hangs longer in that area. 2 hours seems to be, sometimes we're gonna be beyond when the fog's cleared in that limit, and sometimes it'll still be a little bit of fog, but that seems to be a safe time when fog has subsided enough to safely run the buses. 'Cause, 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 'cause
That's it. We'll be moving on to item number E3, election of trustee, representative, and alternate. Recommended action. It is recommended that a trustee, representative, and alternate be elected to the Kern County Committee on School District Organization and authorized to cast one vote for each member to be elected to the Kern County Committee on School District Organization at the annual Fall Trustees Meeting.
This is Chris Boone. I nominate Mike Eckert and Brooke Malliot as the alternate. Anyone want a second, or you guys don't agree with that?
I'll second.
Cool.
All
You
right.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion? Okay, then we'll have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And aye for me as well.
You weren't going to ask what we just volunteered you for?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
We'll tell you later. We'll
All
tell you
right,
later.
moving on to letter E, item 4, resolution for supporting safe routes to school. It is recommended that the resolution supporting safe routes to school be approved. Do I have a motion?
This is Chris. So moved.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Just thank you to all the community partners that collaborated with the district in crafting this resolution for the board. I know some like message to sign on the last couple days and it's passed. So with the motion, are you guys okay if we still add some of those names? Is that okay? Can we still do that? I don't know. We already made the motion, doesn't matter. But there were more. It doesn't matter. There were more people that wanted to sign on because the district was doing such good work.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll take the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Noes here. Any abstentions? I was an aye as well. And that means the motion passed. We'll move on to item F, 5-minute recess. The board will take a 5-minute recess.
Why did you vote no on our resolution?
Righty. Moving on to item G, educational services. Number 1 is Assistant Superintendent Report. Mrs. Laura Orozco.
Good evening, President Fuentes, board, and guests. First, I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Stone and all of our teachers and staff that are coaches for the oral language. We had our festival on Saturday. It was a great success. It was really neat to see all the kids and such brave kids to speak in front of everybody and act out their little scenes. And also, I wanted to say thank you to Brian Haywood and Jennifer Santillan for our track as well, that we had our track meet on Saturday. So I just want to say thank you to all the staff that does all that extra work on Saturdays for our students and families. And so we will start with a presentation by Mr. Alfonso Ceja, and he's Area 4 for the schools. So he's going to do a presentation and highlight 2 of our schools.
Good evening, President Fuentes, members of the board.
Cluster 4, I'm sorry, not
Cluster
Area 4. Sorry.
Good evening. Here to present about a quick overview on Cluster 4 schools. And I want to focus on 2 schools to highlight from Cluster 4. So first, here are the schools that make up Cluster 4. It is primarily the elementaries that feed into Sierra Middle School, as well as the elementaries and that feed into Stern Middle School. Within our Cluster 4, you see that our student enrollment varies from 573 at Pioneer all the way to 936 at Voorhees, being the largest school in Cluster 4. The next set of slides, you're going to see data for each of the schools, which includes the enrollment, includes assessment data, as well as demographics. So through these slides, I'm just going to go through them. You have them in front of you for your reference. This is, again, for each of the schools: Mount Vernon, Pioneer Drive, Walter Stern Middle School, Hort, Voorhees, that are in Cluster 4. And then we have, here is our daily attendance within schools in Cluster 4. This is currently the average attendance for the schools. You can see here that one school's Garza is right slightly above the district goal of 96.4 at 96.5%, and then Pioneer is right behind them at 96%. And the other schools are doing a lot of work in attendance as well to ensure that they continue improving their daily attendance. Here is our chronic absenteeism rate, though. And in here you see that this works backwards. We want most of our, or all of our schools to be under the 19%, which is the district goal, and we have all schools but one that are under the 19%. Well, Hort and Mount Vernon are slightly above that. But then we have 2 schools like Garza at 6.8%, Mount Vernon, Pioneer at 10.2%, and Voorhees at 12%. These schools also had made tremendous growth in their chronic absenteeism over the last couple of years, and you'll be able to see that in your next slide, which you'll see the comparison between 2 years, 2022-23 and 23-24, where you see all schools made a lot of growth in their attendance over the last year, and then this year you see even they're making a lot more gains in that. You also see on the next slide our Star Reading Fall. Star Reading is a nationally normed computer adapted test that measures students' achievement on reading skills such as word knowledge, comprehension, and text analysis. And this is measured by continually adjusting the difficulty of the item to the student, so the student can show what they can do or cannot do. The assessment is tailored to accurately measure each student's reading skills. And again, you'll see here, this is data from back in the fall. So this is late August, early September. Currently, our students are taking the winter assessment, which we don't have those results yet. So you'll get to see those hopefully soon after winter break. You also have the math results for Cluster 4. Again, it's an adopted, nationally norm adapted computer test that measures math skills as opposed to the reading foundational and reading skills that we see in the ELA. Again, this is back from the fall. currently they're taking the winter assessment for this. With that, I would like to move into our promising practices. Tonight, I'm highlighting HORT as one of our promising practices. And as you know, HORT has one of our new principals in our district, Ms. Myrna. So their promising practice is one of the things that HORT staff is doing is making sure the students are experiencing cooperative learning in all classrooms across all content areas. So you'll see here some examples of how they're doing that. As a new principal in the school, one of the things that when she met with her staff is she wanted to have some goals for her school. If we're going to accomplish something this year, what are going to be those goals? And the first goal they identified as being important and essential for their students is to have a warm, welcome, and safe, inclusive environment for their students, which again pairs up with our district priority. Mr. Luki just talked about this one, which is all students enter into a safe, welcoming, inclusive, and respectful classroom environment. And you see just there some pictures of students, again, cooperating in their learning. It's not about sitting at their desk, working independently, but it is learning through cooperation, through hands-on activities. So you see 3 examples there. Their second goal in the school was to effectively and efficiently serving students at all levels, in all classrooms, based on what the student needs. And again, that goes along with our safe and welcoming, inclusive, respectful classroom environment priority for the district. And in here, you see students working together, problem solving, right, together, which is some of our competencies from the project, from the POG, from the portrait of the graduate. You'll see them evident coming through these activities in the classroom. And then you see on the side a picture of the staff working collaboratively to support students at HORT. And then also, this doesn't only happen in the classroom. In this slide, I wanted to show you how in the classroom they're working in cooperation with other students to support each other's learning. And this is how they're addressing another priority from our district, which is all students must regularly engage in authentic learning experiences. And this also extends through the extended learning program. So the picture you see there on the right is from the extended learning program, where students are engaging in hands-on activities that is carried through from the morning, from the regular program to the extended learning program for Hort Elementary. And then also another way to capture these cooperative learning and students just learning outside of their desk is through a weekly math task in all grade levels. So all grade levels have committed themselves to having students experiment or explore through a math task, talking about numbers, talking about the different possibilities of numbers, number sense, as opposed to completing assignments independently. They're working collaboratively in the classrooms. So the next school I want to highlight is Sierra Middle School. Sierra's Middle School promising practice is around a cultural multilingual literacy. So what they've done over the last few years is they have really invested in having their intervention specialists provide not only reading intervention, math intervention, but also providing language intervention via tutoring before and after school to students, as well as pushing in during designated ELD classrooms to support students additionally than what the teacher can provide to them. They also have school-wide expectations on students speaking and writing incomplete sentences. We might think, well, we should always be speaking incomplete sentences, but sometimes with our teenagers, we forget that we need to use complete sentences. It's like, yeah, nah, okay, let's elaborate on that response, right? And then also expectations on structured academic conversations. So at Sierra Middle School, you see in the classrooms these basic 4 L's. Look at the speaker when they're speaking to you. Lean forward to the speaker, basically to listen to everything they're saying to you. Lower your voice and listen attentively. These are expectations that they have in every classroom to make sure collaboration is happening between students and they're being receptive to the information being shared. Also, they have a newcomers, and this is for students newly arrived to the United States from another country, a newcomers club that's supported by the intervention specialist, as well as writers workshop to support students meeting their reclassification criteria, English learners. So they work intensely with this group of students to make sure that they get the supports they need in addition to the daily designated EOD classroom instruction. Again, here are some other examples of students being expected to speak and use complete sentences as well as academic conversations. Here you have students collaborating on the left, and then on the right you have a student and a teacher who's being supported by the teacher. Also, over the last several years, they've been layering professional development for staff on these very same topics, which is professional development in specifically integrated English language development. So how do we support as science teachers, as history teachers, as math teachers, English learners within our classrooms? And also ongoing professional development during late starts. On the various topics you see there, like collaborative conversations, group text reconstruction. This is all from their research-based strategies from our yield toolkit of strategies that also have been part of our professional development across the district through the Multilingual Education Programs Department. So some of their recently accomplished outcomes through this have been, of course, the summative LPAC results, making progress in their LP, or making progress, the percent of students who are achieving from one year to the next when they take the summative LPAC, they've been increasing the percent of students who have made progress. And they have decreased from 13% to 7.3% the number of students who decline in progress, which we don't want that. So they've been able to improve that practice. And then also last year, to give an example, Sierra was able to reclassify a total of 61 students, English learners, which was right around 23% estimated reclassification rate, which is huge for a school. This year, we're not done reclassifying. They've already reclassified 39 students, so they're right around 18.8%. But again, the school year is not even halfway there. So we're expecting that number to increase, hopefully, by the spring. Those are the two promising practices.
Thank you, Mr. Serra.
Any questions?
No.
We're good, cool. All right, thank you. So, moving on, item number 3 under educational services. It is recommended that the administrative hearing panel's recommendations be approved. Do I have a motion? Do I need a motion for that? I do, right?
Yeah, it's an action item.
Yep.
This is loud, I move that we approve.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Can I ask a question? If we are forced into, or we're compelled to be under the direction of the county because of suspension rates, why don't we just not suspend people? I'm honestly asking, like, couldn't we just be like, oh, we're just gonna move that kid to another school, but we're not gonna suspend them? Like, I'm asking.
It's a great question. It would not support teachers who tirelessly work to intervene and remedy student behavioral issues to not offer suspensions when behaviors warrant suspensions. What we have to do as a district is dig into the root causes of why experiences for African American students are vastly different in BCSD than non-African American students.
I mean expulsion, not suspension. I think I said suspension, or do you mean both?
Both. But ultimately, the state's metric of suspension dictates that. We have to do some work there. Now with expulsions, and I think I know where this question may be going, part of our efforts too is to continue to identify ways to build out our own community day school, recognizing That's a small little footprint of a campus. And we work closely with the county office when it's necessary to assign students there who have behaved in an egregious manner. And again, most, if not all, of these expulsions are mandatory expellable offenses that come to the board for consideration. And at times, other remedies are found, unfortunately. Sometimes this has to be the avenue the district takes to bring recommendations to the board for consideration for approval.
Mark, could you talk about one other thing for me for a second? I'll be candid. I don't totally respect the governance team at KCSOS. I don't feel like a lot of the items they discuss are providing services to kids. And so sometimes I feel like, you're making a face. There was, oh, sorry. Oh, you looked at me like, what is she saying?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know if I'm asking this clearly, so please rephrase for me if you need to, but could you just explain the distinction between what the elected countywide superintendent and his direct team that would be overseeing us do versus like, we're not under the authorization of that other board, we're just partnering with the elected superintendent's staff in order to investigate solutions. I'm not saying that it's fact, I'm asking you to clarify.
Yeah, so the district contracts with the county office under the superintendent's leadership to provide services when needed to students in an alternate setting, being CLC. The nuance of the county office is that both the superintendent and the board members are elected officials. So it's a little bit nuanced there. Certainly, I will take guidance from my board on what the future partnership, if any, exists, should their board act on, I believe, tonight's conversation related to posting the 10 Commandments in their classrooms. We are a individual organization, not married to the county Board of Education. We do have contracts with the county office to provide services in a myriad of ways. But I will await tonight's outcome there and seek back direction from this board as we go forward.
I appreciate that answer. We trust that you know the good people over there. We hope that you do.
Going back to the question on suspensions, is it teachers have authorization to suspend for a day and the following day, or is it just removal from the class? Just going back to the question of getting rid of suspensions.
And I'm going to ask Tim to come to the podium and clarify this for me. Teachers have the right through Ed Code to suspend students from their classroom, I believe for a day. And then with that comes the student's right to due process, which Tim could talk more about and clarify my comment.
Yeah, it would be the remainder of the day and then one full day afterwards. So provided that there's certain thresholds met, have to contact the parent, have to get them down for a parent conference. Our recommendation to schools is always to do that immediately because it's an immediate concern.
So after the fact, it might end up not being a suspension after the outcome is determined? So it would just be, there's a question about something?
Typically, if a teacher,
that's a different.
So teachers have a right to suspend under the Ed Code from their class.
Just no direction as to where they have to go.
Well, you can't place the student within another class on campus. So we find in many cases that there's agreement already that the students violated education code, and maybe the school's already going to suspend that student. There is one Ed Code though where the school cannot suspend a student, but the teacher can, and that's as it's related to disruption and defiance in the classroom. So in those particular situations, then the school office has to, house the student under some supervision somewhere else on the campus, usually in the office.
and this is such a important topic because the laws continue to remove the ability for consequences for students. And I mean, this year, the number of concerns I've received from teachers about the inability to even give detention anymore as a consequence, it's concerning. We recognize, and I'm proud of this team because the team does everything in our power and ability to intervene and support kids. But there are times when the best decision is to remove a student from the environment for a period of time to just let everybody breathe, whether that's student-on-student incidents or student-on-adult incident, or but the pressure point with the dashboard metric is that we are measured this year compared to last year, and we are monitoring our numbers by student group of, what does it mean when we suspend students. And I can tell you right now that we are above last year's average, current date, year-to-year date for African American student suspensions. And so just this morning in our cabinet meeting, I conveyed that that's going to cement us into the next tier of intervention, and we've got to get ahead of it. And so I'm working on formulating an ad hoc task force to really dig into the root causes of our outcomes for our African American students in an effort to design a plan, which we have to do anyway per the county and state oversight, that we can integrate into our LCAP plan for this spring, communicate with our stakeholders, our educational partners, in an effort to try to find action steps that we can take to begin to address our current reality.
I have a question. Who supervises the student that was suspended that would be in the office? Like, everybody already has a job. It wouldn't be the secretary, it wouldn't be the clerk, right? Like, who in the office would be?
It's going to vary by school site. School sites have to be creative in those cases. Again, we don't see a tremendous amount of instances where that occurs because our school administrators work well with teachers, but when it does happen, the school has to make a plan for that adjustment. Sometimes the parents, when they know that their student isn't going to be allowed in class and will have to be in the office, elect on their own to not have the student attend that day. That sometimes happens. Other times they have to be with a staff person doing work, and while that staff person is trying to do their work.
So the staff would include the secretary or the clerk?
No, they have to
when
be
you're
under
saying
the.
staff, that's what I'm
yeah,
asking. Like, what staff member in the office?
They have to be under the certificate, the supervision of a certificated employee. So, and different schools have different certificated employees, and they make it work and figure it out.
Wouldn't it be intervention in some cases?
It could be. Yeah, that could be. And again, it depends on the situation.
Or what they did.
Yeah, or the schedule, what people have scheduled that day, so it might be multiple people throughout the day.
Yeah, because most of the time staff already has an agenda, right, about their day, meeting with specific students. So because I'll use my son's name, because Joey is having to be suspended now in the office, now the services that were going to be provided, I'll use my other son's name, Louis. He doesn't get his services because they have to be supervised. The supervisor has to be supervising a kid that was not behaving.
I think it's very true. I think it's very true to your point, and what everybody's saying. We're living in an environment right now in our schools where everybody has a plan for the day, but it's rare when the plan is actualized because things happen, and that's just the environment we're in. It's one of the effects of the pandemic that we're still grappling with. And again, the team is doing everything in their power to build systems and structures, leverage our interventionists, our support staff to support kids, place kids in the right classrooms with the right personalities that mesh and match, that build supportive environments. But occasionally, when a teacher says, I've had enough, we have to respond to that.
Right, no, and I agree, I completely agree with that.
But someone, to your point, someone's inconvenienced, and it's a bad way to say it, but someone has responsibility to monitor that student throughout the day. And as Dr. Flownwhite and Laura said, that could change. I mean, it could be someone from 10 to 11 and someone different from 11 to 12, just based on people's schedules.
Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second, so we'll take our vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I was an aye as well. So moving on, thank you. Business Services, number 1, Assistant Superintendent's Report, Mrs. Sherry Gladden.
Good evening. Tonight's presentation allows the opportunity to introduce to the board several of the items that are going to come before you underneath the Business Services agenda, and to provide some additional context to those items. Specifically tonight, we have some very large reports that have a lot of detail behind them, so I'd like to walk through those. Specifically covering our first interim report and financial status, our 2023-24, so the prior fiscal year's audited financial statements, what we refer to as the audit report, our first interim budget revision, and just a brief look at next financial updates and dates. So what's unique about first interim is it's the first opportunity to review some changes in some important dates that have passed, that bring forward information that affects our revenue projections, as well as a first opportunity and look to revise our budget for adjustments if our spending plans, our goals or projects have changed. The law mandates that there are 2 pauses throughout the year that districts take to reflect on their financial outlook. So a snapshot, if you will. It's first interim, which covers the period of July 1st, the start of the fiscal year, through October 31st. And the next period will be second interim, which will come at our March board meeting and will cover through January 31st. This report has been shared in preliminary form with our Superintendent of Schools office. Districts are required to submit their first interim report by December 15th. Our board meeting being 2 days after that allowed for it to be submitted, and they'll take our acceptance after tonight's board meeting. Specifically to first interim it's the first period following the completion of our financial audit of the prior year. So it gives us the actual ending balances for all of our programs, grants, general fund, other district funds that we bring forward to our current year budget, as well as the CBED census date has passed, and as of last week, the first submission was made to the CDE on that information. And that's relevant because we're funded off of our attendance, and our attendance is projected off of your enrollment. You can only have a function of how many kids attend based on how many are actually enrolled in the district. As well, a significant portion of our LCFF funding comes from what's called the unduplicated population, and that's our low income, our English learners, our foster youth. And so that certified information goes through identification of students for those categories that occur through October 31st. And one of those data points comes to us directly from the County of Kern, and it comes in mid-November. And so this report is the first opportunity where we have that unduplicated percentage for the district, and we update our revenues accordingly. So first interim is an important snapshot because it brings forward an updated adjustment or glance at the district's budget in light of our actual financials that we closed the year on and were audited, as well as our demographics from the CalPADS or the CBED census date. So I am pleased to report that our first interim financial status is a positive certification. There's 3 possible certifications. It's positive, qualified, or negative. Positive is the favorable status amongst those, and it means that the district's budget plan projects that we can cover our obligations in the current year as well as the outcoming 2 fiscal years. So tonight before the board will be the district's audited financial statements. I'm happy to report once again, we had a clean audit report. We have an unmodified opinion, which again is the most favorable opinion that you can have on an audit report, meaning that there were no misrepresentations or misstatements on our financial statements. It's free of audit adjustments, findings, question cost. And first interim and our first interim budget revision includes carrying forwarded the audited financial balances from the prior year. So we adopt a budget off of estimates, projected ending balances that we carry forward and we build into our adopted budget. Once we've undergone year-end closing process and our year-end close financial statements have been audited by the auditors, we then bring those forward as a revision to our current year budget. The budget revision, the first interim report, and the audit report are all very lengthy documents. They are very detailed documents, and so the budget revision, and in particular the first interim report, will have a lot of context, a lot of very small print on them, right? The very first page of the budget revision is a summary format. It's a detailed summary, so it gives very specific information to what programs or amongst the unrestricted general fund, what line items by description changed, why they changed, and in what dollar amount they changed. And so that information is the first page of the budget revision, but this slide is really meant to just allow me the opportunity in summary to provide some shade or context to that. I think it's important for the board to understand the overall net effect of the budget revision. So in summary form, on our unrestricted general fund, our revenues have a positive benefit of an increase of $451,641. That's 0.1%, so it's far less than a percentage, and that includes ins and outs. But very significantly, as I talked about the CalPADS date having passed, and we know then what our enrollment is, and we know what our unduplicated student population is, that allows us to put those factors into the LCFF funding formula. Law dictates what that formula is. The formula doesn't change. BCSD is in our 5th year of declining enrollment, so we know that's not an anomaly. That's a trend, that's a fact. So BCSD knows that we're funded off of the 3 prior years' ADA, and that's in law, that's in the funding formula. But what is funded off of the current year is the supplemental and concentration grants that we get through the LCFF formula based on our unduplicated population. So our low income, English learners, and foster youth. So we have a decrease in our LCFF funding formula of just over $2 million that is related to those demographic changes. Lottery is also allocated off of student population, but we project our lottery based off of information that we get from the state where they estimate or they project lottery sales. So when they project a decrease in the amount of lottery sales or lottery revenue that we may get, we adjust according to that. We also have something that's very unique to this specific fiscal year, and because it doesn't come up, and it doesn't come up in such a significant quantity in most years, and that's an adjustment to our interest income. This is related, we close the books, we have our audited financial balances, so we know how much cash we are carrying forward in this year. We have a lot of additional funds from one-time sources, ESSER, one-time grants, learning loss recovery grant, lots of one-time grants. Some of those grants have been paid to us in advance. Some of those grants, as we spend, we'll get the payments in arrears or reimbursement. But we're carrying more cash this year than we typically would, and we're seeing higher interest rates. So we have a positive impact to our revenue on that. The positive impact is outweighing the negative to the net effect of $450,000 approximately. On the spending side, we have an improvement to our expenditure side of our budget, our spending as well, because expenditures decreased by $467,145. The majority of this is related to one-time savings. As we know that we're entering, that we're in declining enrollment, and we're entering a year where we know that we're going to face a budget deficit, we have begun freezing all positions that are non-essential to fill. From that, you have savings within your budget. Again, this is another source of one-time savings unique to this year. We also have captured from any turnover in employees. So employees that may have retired since the adopted budget was passed, or have retired during the year, or turnover, just people, you know, leaving, promoting to other things, leaving vacancies. Those are one time because the savings exists this one opportunity while the position's unfilled, but once it's filled, those costs will stay in the budget in future periods. Indirect costs are basically charging restricted programs and grants for the services of Christine's department in HR, my department in fiscal, as we pay bills, we bid things out. So the costs of operations for running those grants or programs are allowed to be charged to the grant or the program or recovered to the general fund. We have a decrease in the amount that we're recovering because of reallocations of budget to line items that don't allow recovery of indirect costs, or decreases in the program funds that we can collect indirect costs off of. And those savings are netted against an increase, which primarily is related to our network infrastructure and cabling project that is undergone in the district. In total, when you add together the improvement in our revenues and the improvement in our expenditures, which I want to highlight, the majority of those improvements are from one-time sources that are specific to this year only. We have on our first interim budget revision that comes before you tonight for the unrestricted general fund an improvement of $918,786. We also taking a look at the restricted side of the budget to highlight the sources of the changes on the restricted side. Again, these are summarized by the specific programs and the dollar amounts on the first page of the budget revision. But first interim is our first opportunity. We've closed the books, so we know exactly how much is remaining from Title I, from educator effectiveness, all of the different grants that we have. And so we bring forward the actual ending balances, and we update whatever our estimated or projections were that were included in our adopted budget. So we make these updates once we have final audited numbers. So this is the first opportunity to bring that forward. We also reflect, as the year progresses, we get our actual awards for the current year. So the CD, our granting agencies, federal, state, or local granting agencies are sending out their actual award amounts for this year for grants, entitlements, or various funding sources that we've applied for. So we're converting those projections that we had in our adopted budget to the actual grant awards as they come in. And those are really the two reasons for why we'd have changes on the restricted budget. So looking at a summary of the numbers, because again, the budget revision has lots of line items, so I'm bringing this in a very condensed form to highlight the effect on the district's reserves at this snapshot at first interim, because it will continue to change throughout the year. And as a matter of fact, CSEA has a very important vote tomorrow night that would change this instantly in a day. But dividing the unrestricted and the restricted budget, because it's really important in the general fund to look at the dollars that have state and federal requirements for how they're spent from those that are unrestricted, base, operational, and at the district and the board's discretion. So with the change in the revenues and expenditures on the unrestricted side, we would have an improvement. We would have a positive improvement to our reserves of, it's just under 700,000. It's like 696,000, but I'm rounding that to 0.7 million in the slide for your summary. So we're coming from the previous board-approved budget, which had a $200,000 deficit, to an improvement of a positive approximately 700,000. That's pretty break even on a budget of our size, but still it's nice to see a positive number on the bottom line there. On the restricted side, we continue to have a deficit on the restricted side, but when we pause and think about that, that's planned because we have these multi-year grants that we've received, and a lot of those have been paid to us up front, or we have carryover of one-year grants that have a 2-year spending time. They allow for carryover, and we receive some of that funding up front. So it sits in our reserve on the restricted side of the budget, until it's spent. So it's applied in the current year's operating budget so that we can provide those services, we can run those programs, although the funds were received in the prior year. Sorry, I'm following along a few pages behind. Let me catch up. So as I mentioned on the restricted side, because that was let me go back, that's a very large number, 119.3 million from the restricted reserve that's put in the budget for activities, programs, and services this year. But to put it in perspective, we have 215 million in our restricted budget that are from one-time sources. And so these are some of those multi-year grants that were paid to us up front, as well as other grant awards that we've been notified that we have up to this amount to spend, but we haven't received all of the funding yet. We'll receive that in arrears or reimbursement as we spend it. This is a very long list of programs, but I thought it was important to always, for transparency for the board's purpose, as well as the stakeholders' purposes, to be clear on the one-time funds that are within our budget. I've also indicated if it's a funding source or a grant that was given to us for a multi-year term, I've indicated when the end of that term is. So these will fall off the district's budget. These are not ongoing grants or dollars. And then it's very also important to acknowledge that 26% of our general fund expenditures are supported from these one-time sources. So it's a very significant portion of our budget. Again, as we receive the one-time COVID relief dollars, all of these one-time funds to restore learning, we're applying them, we're running those services, and it's having a very dramatic impact on our budget to provide for those. And then also for information and summary, I think it's helpful to look at not just our general fund that we just walked through, but all of the district's funds that we operate. And so this is a summary, the beginning balance, that's the audited beginning balance, the revenues that we anticipate receiving this year by fund, the expenses that are budgeted by fund, and the ending balance. And if we look at the ending balance for each fund, that represents the reserve for that fund. So in total, if we follow the expense column all the way down to the total, that's our total district spending budget. We are over $1 billion. So that's a pretty large number that we do not see in a typical year, but we've been seeing over this time frame where we've had all these one-time grants and all these additional funding opportunities that have come to us for specific purposes, learning recovery, safety from COVID and similar viruses. So from first interim, what we're waiting on now is the governor's January budget proposal. It comes on or about January 10th, so we will be watching for that. We use that information to update our out-year assumptions. But just again to mention once again, the LCFF funding formula is known. We're in declining enrollment, so we know that we're funded off of prior year ADA, the three prior years ADA. We know those numbers. We have an estimate of the COLA, so we will see a wiggle as that information is released, because we'll apply the updated COLA that's estimated by the state, but those other factors don't change. The second interim report that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation will be a snapshot, an updated snapshot that will take us from July 1st, the beginning of our fiscal year, through January 31st, and that will come to the board at the March board meeting. So those are some large items coming before you. This is a very high level summary, but I wanted to just give some additional context and open the floor for questions or comments on those items that are before you.
Oh my gosh, $1 billion is so much money.
It is a lot of money.
So I know there's conversations of the Department of Education closing and funding likely being cut to uncooperative states like California. How much money from our budget comes directly from the federal government? What apportionment?
You know, we are primarily state funded. I don't have that exact percentage in front of me, and I don't want to give you a bad estimate. But Chris, like I would say 10% or less, and I'll follow that up in an update.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We are drastically state funded.
So we're hearing a lot about cuts this meeting. Can you talk a little bit about the future of our budget, if you can?
Yeah, so we did have a very extensive budget study session October 29th, and we went in detail, and it's a public meeting, and I wish more people had interest in attending and hearing that information, but I understand it's not the glamorous fun stuff. But in that meeting, we really walked through where the district's funding estimates come from, specifically the local control funding formula, and why we know that we are on a downward trend of enrollment and how that directly impacts our local control funding formula. Basically, the cost of maintaining services are growing faster than our revenue's growing because our revenue is being calculated on a dwindling population of students. So it's bringing in a lower and lower amount. The COLAs that are projected are not high enough to outgrow that pace of rising expenditures. So that's what we're looking at. School districts by nature are service agencies, right? We provide a service, we educate students. So everybody working in a school district provides a service. As a service organization, we're heavy in staff and positions. That's where our money goes. Specifically on the unrestricted general fund, it will always take up approximately 85% of our budget. There's years where it'll wiggle higher, there's years where it might wiggle a percent lower, but it's approximately 85% of our expenses. And so when we look at our budget, it's our responsibility to plan ahead with the information that we know and to make corrections and adjustments to live within the funding that we have. And it's a very important certification on the interim reports, because if we were not showing that we were planning for these changes, these anticipated changes in our revenue or population, we would have what's referred to as a qualified or a negative certification, which would mean that we need the county's superintendent of schools, the county's office, all the way up to the state's office to come in and take over or assist with our finances and our operational plan. Sorry, that might have been more information than you meant to ask. I don't know. I'm sorry if I took that too far.
Actually, for Mr. Luque, what Chris asked for, will that be on our Friday update?
We'll get that up to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that to you tomorrow.
And you know what? I apologize because I think I had that on the board study session slides. I just don't have that in front of me, but it's at a fingertip back at my office. We'll get that right to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your report.
Okay. Yes, yes. Item number 2, first interim report for 2024-25. It is recommended that the annual audit for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2024 be accepted and acknowledged receipt. Do I have a motion?
This is Laura.
Go ahead.
Second.
This is Chris, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Number 3, annual audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. It is recommended that the annual audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 be accepted and acknowledged receipt. Do I have a motion?
This is Laura. I move my motion.
Second.
Second.
And any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 4, budget revision 2024-25. It is recommended that the attached 2024-2025 budget revision amounts be authorized. Do I have a motion?
This is Laura. Or Mr. Eggert, and
Okay.
I'll second.
And it's Laura as the second. Thank you. Any discussion? Cool. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I was an aye as well. Thank you. Number 5, adoption of resolution 2024 through 46 declaring an emergency under public contract code section 2113, vandalized HVAC units at Hort Elementary School. It is recommended that the resolution 2024-46 declaring an emergency under public contract code section 20113 for Hort Elementary School be adopted. Do I have a motion on that one?
So moved.
Any seconds?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item?
Seriously, people, stop messing with the heating and cooling for children. What is wrong with people? That's like $20 a copper. $20 a copper to torture kids? What is wrong with people? Ooh, I was big mad about that. What is wrong with people?
And it's just the repairs.
No, it's, I mean, also like people having to go without. We can't have nice things.
Right.
Like, we want nice things for our kids. Don't be stupid in the community. That's
They're
my
stealing
discussion.
Christmas decorations that
Seriously.
Like,
So-
like
they wouldn't.
What?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Cool. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Number 6. So this is a public hearing one.
You gotta click.
Yep. So public hearing for the adoption of the resolution making findings under the Government Code 4217.12 and approval of Cal Shape Plumbing Services Agreement for Bottom Line Plumbing, Inc. The public hearing is open at 8:23. Do we have any speakers for our public hearing? Okay, seeing none. The hearing is now closed at 8:23 and 49 seconds. Cool. Let's see, we move on to adoption of resolution making findings under Government Code 4217.12 and approval of the plumbing services agreement. It is recommended that the resolution presented to be adopted and approval given to authorize execution of the agreement with Bottom Line Utility Solutions, Inc., attached below. Do I have a motion on this one?
This is Chris, so moved.
Seconds.
This is loud, I second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this one? Cool. Seeing none. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye as well. Okay, moving on. Human Resources. Item 1, Assistant Superintendent's Report. Mrs. Christine Cornejo.
Thank you very much. I am excited to share with our board trustees and our community that our HR team is gearing up for our next teacher job fair. It is scheduled for Saturday, February 1st. It will be at Downtown Elementary, and we will be looking for positions for our 25-26 school year, multiple subjects, single subjects, special education positions, substitute positions. So we invite the community to come out and interview with our administrators, and that's all I have for this evening to share with the board.
Alrighty, thank you. Item H2, Memorandum of Understanding regarding change in work schedule for CSEA, number 48, chapter president for the 2024-2025 school year. It is recommended that the MOU regarding change in work schedule for CSA, number 48, chapter president for the 2024-2025 school year be approved. Do I have a motion?
This is loud, I move that we approve it.
Second. Thank you, sir. Discussion on this one? Cool. Okay. Seeing none, we will take our vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Cool. Item H3, approval of the Classified Human Resources Report. It is recommended that the Classified Human Resources Report be approved as submitted. Motion?
I'll move.
Thank
I
you,
second.
Cook. Thank you, CCB. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. H4, approval of Certificated Human Resources Report. Let's see, this is an action one. I'm not
Yes,
seeing my
sir.
scripts, though. Do I have a motion to approve the Certificated Human Resources Report?
This is loud, I move that we approve.
Thank you. Seconds?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. Any discussion on that one? All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to J, board policies. J1, revision to the board policies and procedures of Bakersfield City School District, section 603.24, married, pregnant, parenting students. This is a second reading. It is recommended that the revision to the board policies and procedures of the Bakersfield City School District, section 603.24, married, pregnant, parenting students be approved. Do I have a motion on that one?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you.
This is Chris, I second.
Thank you, CCV. Discussion? None? Cool. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well, thank you. Item J2, revision to the board policies and procedures of the Bakersfield City School District, section 601.07, discipline, second reading as well. It is recommended that the revision to the board policies and procedures of the Bakersfield City School District, section 601.07, discipline, be approved. Do I have a motion on that one?
This is loud. I move it. Oh, Mr. Eggert, and I'll second.
Okay, thank you to both of you. Any discussion on that one? Seeing none, we will take our vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, cool. I was an aye as well, thank you. Number 3, revision of the board policies and procedures of the Bakersfield City School District, section 606.15, discrimination on sex-based harassment, complete procedures, administrative regulations, second reading on that one. It is recommended that the revision to the board policies and procedures of the Bakersfield City School District, section 606.15, sex discrimination, sex-based harassment, complaint procedures, administrative regulations be approved. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Brooke.
I second.
Thank you, CCB, for the second. All of those in discussion, you good? Cool. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Okay, moving on. Number 4. Number 4, addition to the board policies and procedures of the Bakersfield City School District, section 300.73, safe routes to school, our first reading. This one is just up for discussion of being a first reading.
Honorable President, I would like to make a motion that Board Policy Procedures, Bakersfield City School District, Section 300.73, Safe Routes to School be approved this evening due to its timeliness.
Ooh.
I second.
Do we have a first and a second? Do we have any discussion on that then?
I just think, given the tragedies that have occurred in our district, we shouldn't delay another month to move forward. And I think that the policies that were crafted by our district staff are very thorough and thoughtful and a good starting point for the work that we need to do.
Cool. Any other discussion on that?
I just need a moment to make that an action item. Sure.
Yes, cool. Let's do that. Awesome. And that's
She's changing.
and that's your motion and a second with Brooke. Cool.
Thank you for doing
Who second?
Brooke. Okay, so on the floor we have a motion and a second. We've got through our discussion, I think.
Yes.
Very cool. All right, thank you, Andrea. We'll do our vote then. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. All right, cool. Thank you, guys. Moving on to letter K, our consent agenda. Agenda number 1, approval of consent agenda is recommended. The consent agenda be approved as submitted. Do I have a motion on that?
This is loud. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Any seconds?
This is, okay.
I'll second.
Brooke, thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, very cool. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Sweet. Last item on the board agenda here. L, closing items. Our number 1 is adjournment. Do we have to clarify that we're going to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. So
Motion that you
so-
adjourn to close session.
yeah, so do we have that motion?
This is loud. I move that we approve, or to
Consent
move.
agenda.
Closed session.
Oh,
That
yeah.
we
I-
move to-
Adjourn
Consent.
to closed session.
Session.
The motion
And
is to.
so Lauda's got
return
our
to
motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All of those in favor?
Aye.
We're not
All right.
adjourning yet.
No.
Adjourning closed at 8:32.
Thank you.